Hello, I'm Yechun Peng from Intelligent Big Data Visualization Lab, Tongji University. I'll be presenting our work, Double Tap for this post, Understanding the Communication of Data Visualization on Social Media. This work is in collaboration with Professor Yang Shi, Jiying Ding, Xingyu Lan, and Professor Nan Chao. Data visualization has become a powerful medium for communicating expert knowledge to the general public. Major news organizations such as the New York Times and The Guardian now use visualizations across social media platforms like Twitter and Instagram to engage audiences, whether to inform, persuade, or simply spark curiosity. Given the sheer volume of visual content that people encounter in these fast-paced, easily skimmable environments, it becomes increasingly important to build a more systematic understanding of how visualizations communicate with audiences in such contexts. The process of information communication can often be understood through classical communication models. For instance, Laswell's model frames communication around 5 key questions: who communicates, what they say, through which channel, to whom, and with what effect. In the field of visualization, there has been a growing interest in applying such perspectives to understand how visualizations are communicated and received on social media platforms. However, most previous studies have focused on qualitative signals, such as comments, rather than broader quantitative engagement like likes. Since liking a post requires much less effort than commenting or sharing, analyzing patterns in likes can offer valuable insight into the reactions of a wider audience, especially those who simply skim through visualization posts. This raises an important question: what actually triggers people to like a visualization post? In other words, what kinds of visual design patterns tend to generate likes? At the same time, we still know little about how audiences interact with visualizations in ways that produce the intended communicative effects. To fill the gap, our work introduces a conceptual model categorizing how readers receive and interpret a visualization post on social media, through which they decide whether to like the content. Understanding such a communicative process can help improve the effectiveness of the message and thus achieve better communication effects. To understand the reasoning behind the likes of visualizations on social media, we conducted a series of interviews with 40 participants. Specifically, we attempted to gain insights into the following questions. Question 1. How do readers receive and interpret a visualization before deciding to give it a like? And question 2, what characteristics of a visualization appeal to readers for liking it? Through a grounded theory analysis of 400 statements, we explain the reasoning behind the likes of visualization and categorize the reader's cognitive process into 3 progressive levels, which were defined by scopes and design patterns. We derived from a lexical analysis of 149 distinctive words to describe the characteristics of visualization that make it likable to readers, identified 9 primary categories of favored visualization features, with interesting, informative, and clear being the 3 most frequently mentioned characteristics. We yielded a 3-level model to describe how readers engage with a visualization post when liking it on social media. According to our model, readers progressively process information by ascending through different levels. Level 1 commences this progression, followed by Level 2, and ultimately leading up to Level 3. Each level is categorized by a set of scopes that pertains to a specific portion of a visualization that engages readers, along with corresponding design patterns that highlight visual or textual elements of a scope to capture readers' attention and prompt them to give a like. Level 1 involves statements describing readers' overall impression of a visualization at first glance, serving as the beginning phase of the model, emphasizing the look of a visualization. Here, the global scopes like artistic style and color scheme and aesthetic appeal elicit fast, intuitive, and emotional responses. The design patterns here leverage overall aesthetics to quickly capture attention, grouped into visual complexity, figurative representation, and color hook, including specific patterns like using a moderate number of information blocks, embellishment, highly saturated colors, and complementary colors. Level 2 is the middle phase of the model, where readers attempt to understand the message in detail by processing the, quote, flesh and bones of a visualization through a slow, analytical, and logical approach focusing on local, essential elements such as data, visuals, and narrative. The design patterns use visuals combined with narrative to facilitate the comprehension of data, categorized as information accessibility, visual anchoring, and color associations, utilizing patterns such as timely annotations, an explicit legend, highlighting, and semantically resonant colors. Level 3 appears at the end phase of the model, requiring thematic and more in-depth thinking to tap into the heart and soul of a visualization by focusing on insights and conclusion, representing successful message reception and leading to more profound reflection or resonance with the core message. The design patterns mainly use narrative to augment the core values, grouped into narrative voice and takeaway messages, utilizing patterns such as the first-person pronouns or second-person pronouns to establish an intimate connection and cohesion to clearly convey the main idea or key message. To evaluate the effectiveness of our model, we conducted a crowdsourcing user study with 200 participants. Designers selected 8 different visualizations and created 4 different counterparts for each to constitute the stimuli of our user study. Version 0 was adapted as the baseline by excluding features that were listed as the design patterns in our model, while version 1 was created by following the design patterns at level 1, version 2 was created based on version 1 using the design patterns at level 2, and version 3 was based on version 2 by adding the design patterns at level 3. Participants were presented with our stimuli, and they were required to decide to give it a like or not, rate it on the 8 measurements, and provide reasons explaining their choices, and participate in a recall session after 2 weeks. The quantitative results suggested that visualizations enhanced by design patterns in our model showed significantly higher scores than the baseline across the like rate and 8 out of 9 measurements of reader perception, and version 3 performed significantly better than version 1 and partly version 2. The qualitative results of the user study revealed how the design patterns in our model influenced readers, key responses regarding comprehension, effective responses, credibility, and information recall, and below are some examples. First, design pattern like figurative, representation, complementary colors, and semantically resonant colors significantly increase the effectiveness of information delivery by helping readers to grasp the subject matter quickly, differentiate data, and gain takeaway messages. Second, patterns like structured layouts provided professionalism, while timely annotations, an explicit legend, and explained terms enhanced transparency, thus increasing the reader's perception of data accuracy and credibility. Third, embellishment increased the perceived familiarity, and the narrative voice using the first or second person pronouns significantly enhanced personal involvement and expressiveness by generating a conversational atmosphere. Then, patterns like gradient colors were able to evoke reader emotions, while line and arrows created visual intensity and urgency, effectively triggering the reader's effective responses. At last, enhanced versions, version 1, version 3, clearly outperformed version 0 in the recall proportion of key information like the title, annotation, insight, and conclusion, indicating that the model's design patterns contributed to enhancing the long-term information recall. To conclude, our work contributes an corpus and interview, a design space, and an evaluation. That ends my presentation. Thank you for your attention. We encourage you to visit our website to check the design space in detail.